Right, Shalom, giving all praise unto Yabashi Masha Bashimuka Hakorash. The bonus unto the apostles, a great millstone, and the ownership of us to be pushing his truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And above everybody, coming out here to give it his truth for the grace and mercy of Yahweh. Bashim Yahshua Bashimuka Hakorash. Giving all praise unto Yabashi Masha Bashimuka Hakorash. Okay, we're going to go into a little bit of a topic today. Never trust thine enemy. It's a pretty decent set of information that I've been able to put together today. And hopefully it's going to be of edification. Without much further ado, let me get into the topic. I'll start with this precept here within the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 12th chapter. This goes into never trusting your enemy. And we know Esau is the main enemy to the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. Precept says, he has said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may never be in their remembrance. Another scripture that comes to mind is the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, where it speaks about, Esau, he can never be satisfied. Okay, heaps unto himself all people, can never be satisfied, just out here insatiable and really desiring to make as much profit over anything than anything. First Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some men have coveted after. So you got guys out here, Jake out here, that have coveted after this money, tried to be like their enemy Esau, and they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. But effectively, for this function, or this precept within this lesson, the love of money is the root of evil, is important. So let me get into the lesson. I got a few articles here, and we're gonna be predominantly dealing with the health thing. Okay, the health thing and big pharma. I'm gonna try say things in a way that it's not gonna flag up on YouTube to the best of my ability. But you had a lot of people out here that grew up with their grandmothers, great grandmothers, that knew of the holistic way of living, and they was really and have really forgotten that way of living. They become dependent on Esau. As we get back into this truth, we lean back into these things and learn this way of being. And that's an important part of our culture. Okay, we understand it was the herb masters, for want of a better way of phrasing it. But yeah, particular brothers that was very good at putting together tinctures, herbs, still got that today. You had those things passed down from for generation. And these things have really been shunned because you can't really make money. When we're talking money, I'm not talking about, you go to your local food outlet, you get two pounds worth of cilantro and you fix your issues or whatever. Like, you got some examples here. What they got here? And some people be trying to fight that depression. Some very, very easy solutions that you can see from here: valerian, passion flower, and all of that. Or some more serious issues. Cinnamon, bitter melon herb. Okay, ginseng, fenugreek, readily available and readily cheap. Okay, what else? You got high blood pressure. You got garlic there. You got lily of the valley. These are terms and names that we hear about, from time to time when we're watching an ancient program or whatever. Go get the lily of the valley. You hear these particular things, but we're so distant from this way of being that it is really quite ridiculous to really know just how readily available these particular things are. And the herbs that the Most High has put together, there's a purpose that he put these particular things to be helpful to our bodies, man. The ashwagandha. I gotta laugh when I say ashwagandha. There's a guy on YouTube, and he's kind of like a jest, and then he'd be memeing particular things, and he was like, ashwagandha, taking ashwagandha all the time. Yeah, it's comical, but yeah, man, there's a little bit of a movement towards these herbs nowadays, because it's so blatantly obvious that big pharma done made merchandise of people's ailments, and they ain't really solved any particular issue, man. They ain't really fixed anything. They just made money. That's why I read that precept to start off with. You could look at this guy. This is J.D. Rockefeller. You can see this guy's a devil, man. you can see this guy is a devil. This guy has got no redeeming qualities about him just by looking at his presence. You know, Jake takes a picture. You say, oh man, looks like a cool brother right there. Yeah, this looks like the devil. This looks like the devil. And when you read some of these things that we're going to read about, and you really go down this rabbit hole of how these companies make money but they don't fix anything, and how they're in league with the governments and particular parties within the government, they get cut the check or whatever, or they pay millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions to lobby to push forth particular endeavors. You really begin to understand why we call this man the devil, man. I can't look at this guy's face, man. It's eerie. There's something eerie about this picture. Okay, you just look at somebody. This is just eerie. certain devils. You look at them, you're like, oh, I can't even tell he's the devil. But this guy, you could tell he's the devil. And this was a big oil tycoon, 19th to 20th century. And this article is going to go into it, but to brief it, he made his money in the crude oil, and then pivoted to controlling the petrochemicals that you find out there within modern for the purposes of this video, we're going to take the word medicinal and change it to something else as I go. So just try to extrapolate so it's not too easy for the YouTube bots to take down the video or whatever. But yeah, he used the petrochemicals basically which he was already a tycoon in, to basically create another industry. He created a new industry, category of industry, by using what he already had, which some people commend that as capitalism. That's just wicked. There's no two ways about it. That's just wicked, man. You ain't gotta you're doing too much. You're doing too much. Okay, just make your money over there, which you go into the petrochemicals, they was always on the earth. We read about the slime within the scripture, so that's always been a thing on the earth. But this guy said, okay, look, I've dominated that. Let me go create another product category, use what I got, and have the people hooked on these non-effective, PILLs, man. 19th century, 20th century, holistic, ways of doing things was widely practiced in America, and they use natural remedies, and we just seen that. Now they got this term here, antimicrobial copper or whatever, but when you really study how and what the Most High made certain elements for and how they were supposed to be used, you really begin to understand that, this ain't random what Yahweh Shema Shai have done and how he's put everything together. And you read about particular things within the scriptures and how things was done, and he used this material for this, and they used that material for that. It's been widely known for the longest time that brass was used as doorknobs, especially in hospitals, because brass, one of the elements in brass, was it copper and tin or something like that makes brass. Copper has, antimicrobial properties about it. You could just search this out for yourself, and you can see how, I think it's the electric charge, breaks down bacteria and all of that. So this is one of the things that they got rid of, because, well, you can't make no money off of people that's healthy. This is the thing about it. You got to understand about this world. If money can't be made from it, they ain't going to give it to you. If a guy ain't going to come out there looking like this and say, look, I'm going to give you something to fix your problems. I'm going to give you something to fix your problems. Listen to me, homie. A guy looking like this ain't gonna come and fix your problems, man. He's gonna give you more problems. Look at the guy. Look at this guy's face, man. You can just tell with certain geezers that they're just demons. But continuing, he says. So that's one of the elements that they took away from doing things. So for you brothers out there that's just watching, you want to pick up a little bits and pieces. I like integrating things that are readily available and easily integrated into my day-to-day. I got the steel, what they call cast iron pots. That's way better than aluminum. Aluminum gives you dementia. That's another thing. Teflon with this, what they call non-stick, that Teflon thing. Yeah, that'll mess your whole system up. Possible God, Kabar has been on record as saying that, man. That'll mess your whole system up, man. You don't want to be dealing with the aluminum. Aluminum ain't supposed to be within your brain. Okay, that'll give you dementia. That'll mess your whole body up. So you got copper. Copper is a great conductor of heat, but also it kills the bacteria and all that. So these things are cheap enough to access and cheap enough to integrate into a day-to-day. And what you find with your health is it's not so much what you do today that it's going to have a massive impact tomorrow. It's more about little gains for big wins later on. And I'm saying this notwithstanding this kingdom. We know this kingdom's going to be destroyed, man. We know this place is finished. Okay, but that's no excuse to not make at least some effort because how you approach looking after your body has an impact, especially as a bloke. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't look after your body ain't gonna look after you. And you're showing up at the camp emotional, emotions all over the place, cursing out Eve. Man, she's devil, man, which she is. But you can look at a guy and say, you know what, man, this brother's tripping right now. I've been there, man. You'd be like, man, I was doing too much today. I was doing too much today because your system's out of balance. That's not to say you're going off, but it's just, look, man, we're in hell. You got to make a little bit of an effort, okay, to look after your body, and your body's going to take care of you. You're going to be in balance, man. Take care of your mind too, because some of us are coming from traumatic situations. When you look at YouTube video and watch the YouTube video and be edified in concerning your behaviors, man, because your behaviors could be offensive to somebody else. Yeah, they will suffer you, but come on, man. What you hide underneath this, hide within your memory, sometimes it resurfaces. So you got to make an effort. That's what I'm trying to say. The answer lies in actions. Two of the wealthiest men, right, of their time, Rockefeller and Carnegie. Okay, J.D. Rockefeller was first billionaire. He made his money, right, from the industrial giants were shaping the steel and oil industries. That's how they make their money. And the so-called health thing was what they wanted to do. So they wanted to monopolize the pharmaceuticals. Okay, so copper is one of the things they removed. Kills 99.9% of germs that it comes in contact with, and viruses. Now you got to check that information out for yourself. But from a little bit of research I did earlier, that does track, and I know definitively that there was an abundance of brass handles going back like 10, 20 years, and kind of fell out of fashion for whatever reason. But there was a reason why they used to do that, because it has those particular properties with it. So you can see that's something that this guy's really got a gripe with, because copper comes out like a few times in here. But we're really here for the information concerning Big Pharma. So being a petrol tycoon, he wanted to use the petrochemicals, and he realized the pharmaceutical industry could be used. He could use the oils that he's got, right? He saw dollar signs. So what do? They funded schools to use petrochemical based treatments, influenced politicians to pass laws that favored those petrochemicals, eliminated insurance coverage. Remember, this guy is the first billionaire. That's not now like where Kanye West is a billionaire. That's 100 years ago, when a billionaire was like big time, big money. First billionaire. Okay, now we know other guys was behind the scene that had more money, but you know what I'm saying? The guy was balling, okay? The guy was balling and still managed to look like a damn devil. At least get some plastic surgery, man. Look handsome or some shit. But going into this, yeah, I'm just being facetious, by the way. Going into this, it says eliminate insurance coverage for holistics treatments. So you find, I don't live in America, but I'd imagine there's ways in which they force you down a particular path, ensuring people had to pay out of their own pocket for anything that wasn't a pharmaceutical. So that's what they did, man. Okay, that's what they did. They done twisted the whole game up, made it to where you take all of these toxins, these chemicals, and these products into your body, right? To to so-called heal you, okay? To so-called make it to where you're healthy. And the situation is you never get healthy. You never get healthy. You never get to the situation. You never get to the point where you're on point. Okay, you never get to the point where you're on point, because these guys out here, they ain't out here to fix you up, man. These are physicians of no lie, forgers of lies, like it says in the book of Job, man. These guys are liars, man. You ain't gonna, you ain't gonna get a situation where a guy that looks like how we just seen, that picture we just seen, you ain't gonna come out there and give you something that's gonna be to your benefit. There's always gonna be a catch to it. Okay, like I think it's the monkey's paw phenomenon, right? There's always a catch. That's the nature of the devil. That's why we call this man the devil, man. So let's speak about another topic. So that was topic number one. Now, I guess the point I'm trying to make with all of this is, given this man's track record, okay, given Esau's track record, what conclusion can we draw as men of the Lord out here with families, wives, children, and all of that? The conclusion, right, is simple. We can't be attached to this world, number one, and number two, we certainly can't be getting involved in the practices, the non-holistic practices that Esau's got. I wanted to phrase that another way, but I realized it'll probably flag up on YouTube. So we can't really be participating in the non-holistic ways in which Esau conducts himself upon the face of the earth, because it's all about money. It's all about capitalism. Okay, and that brings me neatly to this article. Capitalism gone wrong. How Big Pharma created the crisis of drugs out there. You know, guys out here just hooked on what they got here, Oxycontin. just hooked, bro. Just out there on the streets drooling. I mean, that's funny, man, because you know Jake was hooked on the crack in there, and they call it a problem. We gotta have a war against this particular problem. Now Esau is hooked on these opioids. Now we're gonna have sympathy for them. Really, I want to read just a little bit of this. Okay, a federal judge in Ohio released secret data showing that the raft of corporations flooded the country with more than 75 billions worth of opioids, right, over just 6 years, and targeted regions already most worst hit by the epidemic, they're calling it. The data makes clear how drug manufacturers and pharmaceuticals distributors kept on ramping up deliveries even as the alarm bells rang, a surge in overdoses and death. So, what's the root cause? That love of money, that love of peas, man. Esau's just addicted to them peas, man. Okay, he'll kill his own, he'll kill Jake, he'll kill everybody that's invested. Because remember, like I said, a guy that look like this, he ain't out here to help you. Okay, these so-called capitalists, man, they ain't out here to give you a helping hand. They're here to help themselves. Habakkuk, the second chapter, can never be satisfied. I got to get that precept because I've been calling it a while. Go to the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter, right quick. So Habakkuk 2. I'm going to go straight to the point. Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright, but the just shall live by faith. This man's spirit ain't right, man. Okay, how can you look at your own people and say, you know what, I'm going to mess yourself up so much that you're just going to destroy yourself. And meanwhile, while you're destroying yourself, I'm going to just keep carrying on making peace. It's a damn demon. Yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he's a proud man, neither keepeth a home, who enlarges his desires as hell, and is as deaf king, cannot be satisfied, but heapeth unto himself nations and people. Okay? Just heapeth unto himself everything. He's just gotta have it. Just gotta have that money. Just gotta have those peas. I just gotta have everything, man. I gotta have everything. And he causes harm whilst he's doing it. And he don't care. They don't care. These devils don't care, man. Esau don't care. They don't care. Firm assessing the harm of the thing. I'll call it the thing. You're gonna have to look at the screen to understand what thing I'm talking about. So this is a cost. It was like 50 million that they was paying just to have it to where, you know, somebody's researching the injury claims. Now this is the bit that I'm interested in. So this is the amount of people. So this is not 58 million paid out. This is just the firm that was doing it. So don't get too excited. But this is exciting here. So there's 22,000 claims of related injury, right? Based off the stabbing jab. 22,000. And they say only 1% resulted in compensation payout. Now, you know, you got kids in that, right? You got family in that. Would you take that risk? So what's that 1%? What's 1% of that? Is that I can't figure out that number in my head. I think it's gonna be. I can't math today. I think it's gonna be a couple hundred. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like 220 people out of that. I think that would be 1%, right? Yeah, 220 people. So would you take that risk? Would you be one of those 220 people out of that 22,000? Would you take that risk? And many people did, and many people are through. Okay, many people have had down the line, right, issues off of the back of taking that thing. Okay, and all the while they was making money. All the while they never tested this stuff. All the while they told you that it was perfect. Okay, it was just the best thing ever. It's the best thing since the last thing. Better than ever. Okay, they told you it was the best thing. Okay. But when it comes down to it, man, this guy ain't out here to help you. This guy's out here for profit and destruction. That's his nature. This guy is out here to kill. Okay? Esau is out here to kill. He's out here for blood, man. That's what the Most High created him for. Does not the scripture say within the book of Revelation 6 and 4, how the Most High created a guy who's going to walk around the earth and he's going to take peace from the earth? This is taking peace from the earth. That's what he does, man. He takes peace away from the earth. Don't trust this man. Especially as we get down the line towards the poly crisis that they're gonna have out here. You could really have a fuel and energy crisis at the same time as the hunter chicken thing, Okay, hunter's chicken thing. Okay, they could really have it to it. That's the same thing happening concurrently. And you know what I say? Let's do it, man. What we waiting for? What we waiting for, man? I'm trying to chill, man. Working 2 jobs, okay? Trying to manage relationships. And this is stress, bro. You're trying to manage relationships. You're trying to manage, people who got demons on them, man. Clearly, you got demons on you. You clearly see that there's problems with you. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. You ain't never had a good relationship with anybody in your life. You gonna look at me like I'm crazy. Like, I'm good, man. I gotta get out of here, man. Okay, so let's move on with this thing. Okay, stop messing around, Esau. Press the button. Unleash the hunter chicken pathogen out here, man. We ready for it, man. We've been waiting, right? It's gonna be a little bit rough, but you know what? To hell with it, man. So this is also linked up to many of the things that we've looked at. So this is a so-called fact checker. Now, what you know about these fact check, we got to realize about these so-called fact checkers is, for the longest time you had all kind of so-called conspiracy theories, and then 10, 20 years later it became found out to be true. So you just got to be able to analyze these things, okay? Now this was what they were saying about the gates of Bill, right? They were saying that he was going CHIP everybody, and they was going to use the thing in 2019 as a means to do it. Now you gotta ask yourself, where do these theories come from? Okay, how do these things come to pass? How do these people just come to these conclusions? Well, here's one clue, and you got to ask yourself, okay, right? They didn't do it in 2019, doesn't mean they're not going to do it. Just because they used a guy like the Gates of Bill, the Bill Gates of hell. I said the word. Hopefully, don't flag up. Just because they use a guy like that to be the face of it doesn't mean he's really the one pushing for it. This guy's he's just a front guy. He's just a front guy. He's just a PR guy, man. Okay, he's just the public relations guy. He's the face of the company, but really the company is not even the company. He's just a tool used in the arsenal of the many tricks that Esau's got. People really think out here like Trump's really making decisions. He's got guys that tell him what to do, exactly what to do. They tell him exactly what to do. That's why the objective is always met. Howbeit, Trump comes in office and he's acting crazy, but the 2030 agenda is being fulfilled. Wow. People think these acts are random. No, how can it be random when they laid out a plan for you? They said they wanted to reduce production by 2030. They said they wanted to reduce the so-called carbon footprint by 2030. And a so-called madman, a man behaving mad, is achieving these things, right, in a seemingly random fashion. It's like, nah, man, this is all orchestrated, highly orchestrated, man, and highly put together. So when you see statements like this, so what did the Gates of hell say? He said he didn't mention him by name. Oh, sorry, Salaki. Let me find it. Right, so this is what he said. He says we will have some digital certificates. This is coming from the Gates of hell. We will have a digital certificates which would be used to show who's so-called recovered, tested, and ultimately has received whatever stab and jab that they're going to be giving in the future. So this is what came out the man's mouth himself. Now, guys can say, oh, 2019, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Yeah, that don't mean it's not going to happen. And as we've seen with a lot of these so-called conspiracies, right, they've come to pass. So to put it all together, we're seeing that these guys, these devils, they use these your so-called issues to make all kind of money off of the back of. They use your issues to make all kind of money off the back of. They are here for profit. Okay, they ain't here to help the people. They're here for profit. And the prophets, they're gonna try to set up this utopia, this dystopia that's we read about within the book of Revelations 13 and 9. And let's get to that. That's gonna be the last precept. That's what they're gonna aim for. But they don't really care about how many people they lose on the way. They give you some opioid and kill yourself. That don't matter, man. You just useless to them. Okay, they are about the people. Never trust your enemy. That's what the scripture says. You can't trust this guy. But when it's all said and done, one guy can make $1 billion, another guy can make $1 trillion. When it's all said and done, you got to realize these elites, at least on the surface of it, they're all in cahoots with each other for one objective. And what you find out with guys like the Gates of Hell, guys like JD, Rockefeller, these were all, right, Masons, okay, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. It was all part of the League of Shadows. It was all part of the League of the Devil, man. They all worship Satan, and they was all, okay, in cahoots to achieve this particular thing. So yeah, they might make their billions and all of that. They might make their trillions or whatever. But when it's all said and done, it was really all in the same club of setting up that new order. And that's where we leave this thing off. Okay, so we've gone from making all kind of money by means of JD and many conspiracies that we so-called conspiracies that we've looked at. But the main conspiracy, which is what we see within the scriptures, which remember, conspiracy just means to breathe something to life. And this is literally what they've done. They've said it out there in words, and people said, "Oh no, that's not true. That's impossible. They can never do that." But it's coming to pass, right? So they're breathing that particular idea that they have, and they're bringing it forth to life. So let's see if it tracks with the scriptures, what we just read, where that last article we just read, Revelations 13 and 16. He says he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma within his right hand or on his forehead. So that's what we just read, right? Okay, they're gonna have the technologies to, track, okay, monitor and give you your status. Now you just add, and that's what is the social side. Okay, your so-called social status. Hence, whether you've been tested, recovered, and whatever, that's your so-called social status. You add the finance to it. That's what as a social credit system. And we already know the banks are going digital. It's be nothing to attach those things together, man. That's gonna be nothing. We know the UK is already signed bills to have it to where you can have a digital certificate. Right? We already know they got the CBDCs in the background. So this here, what we're reading here, and based off everything that we've just read, we know that this is the end all be all goal. They can make all kind of money, kill all kind of people along the way, right? Be the best demons and best devils that they could possibly be. But when it's all said and done, this is the ultimate end all be all. Okay? This is the ultimate end all be all. This is what they're in cahoots about. This is what they're aiming for, right? To set up their dystopia upon the face of the planet, right? And have everybody CHIP'd. So, hopefully that's been of edification. I know I went through a whole bunch of different topics there, but hopefully it's been of edification. Without my praise on the Abashi Masha Bashim Korash. That one is unto the apostles of great millstone. And I want you brothers to be pushing this truth in sincerity. I'll see you on the next one. Shalom.